National Security Advisory Council weighs in on universities' issues. University of Papua New Guinea imposes curfew. Second Vietnamese vessel caught in Milne waters.
This is NBC Papua New Guinea National News.
Good evening, I'm Antonia Singut. The University of Papua New Guinea has moved to impose a curfew at its Waigani campus. This follows the fight which broke out between the students and the Uniforce security that resulted in damages to properties and looting. The University Council wrote a letter to the Deputy Police Commissioner Operations, Jim Andrews, requesting for a curfew to be staged within the vicinity of the Waigani campus. The Council is adamant on preventing similar incidents in the future and to ensure the safety of students and staff on campus as well. Sheila Malkin has more.
NCD Central Police Commander Sylvester Caloud said a letter was issued by the UPNG Council yesterday to Deputy Police Commissioner Operation Jim Andrews for a curfew to be staged within the vicinity of the Waigani campus. Last night, the commander, together with the NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Benjamin Turi and Superintendent Operation, were on campus to carry out awareness.
At 8 o'clock, no student will be allowed to walk around the campus area. They will all be in their dormitories. And students are to walk around in the campus with ID cards. And when they are called upon, they have to produce their IDs. This is an effort done to prevent students from gathering and then causing more havoc within the campus.
Commander Caloud said, in anticipation of the recent banning of buildings at the University of Technology in Leh, police manpower is beefed up to enhance security of students, staff and university's properties. Sheila Malkin, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
The Chief Secretary to Government, Ambassador Isaac Lupari, has announced that the National Security Advisory Council met today and resolved to make a series of recommendations to the National Executive Council in relation to recent incidents at the National University campuses. Among recommendations is an immediate curfew to be imposed at the University of Papua New Guinea and Papua New Guinea University of Technology so as to support police to restore law and order on the campuses. A call-out of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force is also recommended in the event that this is required by police. Bradley Gregory reports.
The Chief Secretary to Government, Ambassador Isaac Lupari, in a statement this afternoon, announced that the National Security Advisory Council, NSAC, which met today, has condemned the killing of an innocent student and the destruction of property as an act of mindless individuals. Lupari said the perpetrators of this violence have no respect for the lives of others or the rule of law, and they will be brought to justice. Several recommendations have been drawn. Number one is for an immediate curfew to be imposed at the University of Papua New Guinea and University of Technology so as to support police to restore law and order on the campuses. A call-out of the Defence Force is also recommended in the event that is required by police. Police immediately conduct an investigation into the death of the student and the destruction of property at both universities. Furthermore, police to investigate the involvement of any people from outside of the universities who have been inciting and encouraging these criminal actions. The Chief Secretary is warning all individuals who are manipulating the students from behind the scenes. The National Security Advisory Council calls for calm, peace and justice to prevail. The National Executive Council will meet tomorrow to consider the recommendations. Bradley Gregory, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Police have identified suspects involved in the looting and burning down of UPNG property last Thursday. NCD Central Commander Sylvester Calout said arrests will be made soon. 4 vehicles and a building were burnt down following a dispute between the students and the security force. Sheila Malkin reports.
Commander Calout said police have received information on the suspects and arrest will be made soon. He said they have been reliably informed of the suspects' names and will be working around the clock to have them apprehended, so that they can be arrested and charged for the relevant crimes that they have committed during the incident at the university.
So police will be working very closely with our intelligence people to gather more information so that we apprehend the right suspects and we can deal with them.
Meanwhile, 3 UPNG students have been arrested and charged with illegal use of motor vehicle over the weekend. Commander Kalaut said they were apprehended traveling in an unregistered vehicle.
They're in custody. They'll be questioned over certain matters that are of interest to the police. The vehicle that they were using is believed to be a stolen motor vehicle. The vehicle is also unregistered and is unroadworthy. So we will be dealing with them on the traffic offences, as well as one of them will be dealt with for a severe crime that he committed at the University of Papua New Guinea during the period of the protest.
Sheila Malkin, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Lawyer representing 4 students from the University of Papua New Guinea who are detained at the Waigani police station alleges that the students were arrested on Thursday and detained without any formal charges laid against them. Lakin Aguilo says they were not read their rights before being detained. Mr. Aguilo said he only saw the charges for the 3 students today after being detained for 96 hours for the unlawful use of a vehicle. Esther Bralinwani reports.
Assistant Police Commissioner for NCD Central Commander Sylvester Kalaut confirmed police arrested and charged the 4 on Saturday. That's for the unlawful use of a vehicle. The UPNG students' lawyer Laken Haigilo says as their lawyer he thought the students were detained relating to the confrontation between the students and the university's unit for security.
Assaulted and they were thrown into the Waigani police cells. I went there, I tried and I checked the charge book. There was no charges laid on them. It was unlawful detention. So I fought really hard over the weekend on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I tried to get them out. There was no charges. They also treated me as one of the common criminals too. I told them I'm the students' lawyers and they even one of the officers by the name of Moses Yangen. He told me to go and get a certificate. So when I go and get my lawyer certificate and return, he was not there. So I was denied access to my clients who are the students. And it is also their constitutional rights that every citizen must be given the opportunity to talk to their lawyer.
Mr. Aguilo says the students have been detained since Thursday.
96 hours now, 4 days, unlawful detention of the 4 students. They're still in the prison. I checked today, this morning. I drafted some documents because it's unlawful detention, so I drafted some agent application to pilot the district court to get them out, free them. But to my surprise, I found out this morning at Boroko Police Cell that there was a charge. And that charge states here that it's unlawful use of vehicle.
He says he has all the documents of the vehicle, which belongs to a family member of one of the accused. However, Kalaut said the vehicle was purchased from Minihi Motors by way of fraudulent check. Kalaut also adds that another student who is of mixed parentage of Oro and Enga is still awaiting more charges to be laid pending an interview with Pro Vice Chancellor Vincent Malaibe after he was threatened and his vehicle taken from him last week. The student is the secretary to the SRC. All 4 have been refused bail. Esther Bralinwani, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Lecture halls at the University of Papua New Guinea remain closed today despite a directive to resume classes. Even the offices at all the 5 schools at the Waigani campus remain closed. According to reliable sources, a staff meeting was held this morning before they were sent home. Students also told NBC National News that they were advised to stay at school so that considerations can be made for Semester 1. Meanwhile, Semester 1, which was extended by 3 weeks, has seen the semester enter into week 13. The final examinations for Semester 1 are set for next week, but this is in limbo. The University of Papua New Guinea issue has now become a law and order problem following the fight which broke out last week inside the campus. The latest turn of events has left the future of Semester 1 uncertain. According to the acting Vice-Chancellor of UPNG, Dr. Nicholas Mann, the university's council will ask the Senate to provide advice on the viability of Semester 1. Esther Bralinwani with this report.
There is still uncertainty surrounding the viability of Semester 1 at the University of Papua New Guinea following the confrontation between students and university security guards last week. In a telephone interview with the UPNG Acting Chancellor Dr. Nicholas Mann, the viability of Semester 1 depends on the advice from the University Senate. Dr. Mann says this has now become a law and order problem and it must be resolved before they look into the viability of Semester 1. Despite the confrontation between the university's security unit force and some students, there are students still on campus. The mess and dormitories are still open. Into its 7th week now, classes have not yet resumed at the Waigani main campus, with police still manning the campus since Thursday. Esther Bralinwani, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
The Minister for Higher Education has described the tragic death of the student and the burning down of property at Lays University of Technology as the work of criminals. Malakai Tabar has directed police to investigate the matter, assuring relatives of the deceased that those responsible will be brought before justice. Mark Kayok reports.
The brutal murder of a student at Lays University of Technology has sparked public outcry calling for peace and normalcy. Higher Education Minister Malakai Tabar strongly deplores students taking sides along tribal lines after 40 years of independence. Mr. Tabar has directed that law and order is enforced forthwith to protect lives and property.
Criminal elements that have infiltrated our universities will be dealt with by law enforcement agencies.
An upset member for Lay, Luzaya Koza, sympathized with what has transpired.
This is an institution that prides itself in educating intellectuals. And if this is the handwork of intellectuals, then truly we have been reduced to the dark ages.
Higher Education Secretary Professor David Kawanamur is expected to meet with students and the University Council today. A high-powered government team will be deployed to assess situation on the ground. Police have been urged to institute curfews to restore peace. Mark Kayok, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
The situation at Unitec's Taraka campus remains tense since last night. According to police at the campus, at 3 a.m. today, students from Enga mobilized to attack students from Southern Highlands, but a quick action from police prevented that. Students have also attempted to attack the Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Albert Schramm, who was conducting a meeting with staff at midday today. However, police rescued him, but his vehicle at the car park had the windscreen destroyed and tires slashed. A new confrontation between police and the students after police rescued the Vice-Chancellor was prevented through quick action by student leaders. Currently, mourning students are camping in front of the administration block, awaiting their relatives travelling in from Mendi. They are expected to arrive by this evening. Change is inevitable, yet it seems far away from the so-called cream of the country attending higher institutions in the country. For students attending the University of Goroka, they have been given 2 weeks off. 2 weeks after their education was disturbed by warring factions. Bradley Gregory with this report.
Studies at the University of Goroka has been suspended for 2 weeks. This week is the second. The suspension of classes comes after violent clashes among student factions. School has been called off a week before the all-important end of the first semester assessments. Many have left the school in a hurry for their homes by bus, plane and on ships. Back in school, it's a quiet place. Only the evidence of the few remain. Staff there tell us there are two groups of students from two different provinces left back. Students from the nearby Pacific Islands also remain.
It's an immediate decision to suspend classes for 2 weeks, which affected our classes also because we are heading towards the end of the semester, in which we are looking forward to sit for our final exams for this semester to stream into our specific courses.
Okay, so now basically what are you guys doing back in your dormitories?
Now basically we are left behind, hanging around, just staying here, trying to assess the situation and to see what will happen next.
For these two young men, the future is uncertain. Unconfirmed reports suggest another 2 weeks will be added onto the 2 weeks break so that students can prepare and return to exams on the first week of semester 2.
Upon some decisions made and rumors also heard that they might also prolong that suspension of classes for probably another 2 or 3 weeks or so. So based on that, we are also looking forward to leaving the university campus and getting back to our provinces to see what would happen after the prolonging of the suspension.
However, or whatever the outcome may be, one thing for certain is that after 40 years of independence, tribal groupings are still strong at the highest level of education. Furthermore, it places doubt over the future of the country's teachers who will enter schools that are bound for school fights. Will they stop the students is the question. They have not shown it yet while they're still studying in the university. Bradley Gregory, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Away now from university issues, the Department of Higher Education has embarked on reviewing the Papua New Guinea National Qualification Framework. Higher Education Secretary Professor David Kavanamur says this is one of the major activities for the department this year. Currently, the National Qualification Framework only specifies the number of years to attain a degree, diploma or certificate. Mickey Cavera reports.
Papua New Guinea's current national qualification framework focuses more on the number of years to obtain a certain qualification, whether it is a degree, diploma or certificate. But this has proven to be costly and inefficient, as students tend to be kept longer in higher learning institutions. With the review of the National Qualification Framework to be undertaken this year by the Department of Higher Education, focus will now shift to learning hours.
To learning hours, so we say that 10 learning hours should be equivalent to 1 credit point. 4,800 learning hours is equivalent to a degree. So between 4,800 to 6,000 learning hours, you can obtain a degree if you put in that much of learning hours in a learning institution.
Professor Kavanamur says universities and colleges need to become more efficient in managing their processes and systems to reduce the number of years for students to complete their degrees.
That will greatly reduce the number of years that our students take to complete a degree, and it will make us put us on par with Australian degrees and Asia-Pacific degrees as well as global degrees.
All this is part of the bigger picture of having our qualifications listed on the Global Qualifications Framework. Mickey Cavera, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
A second Vietnamese vessel was caught in Milne Bay waters, this time with 16 foreign fishermen on board. Among them was a minor. They appeared before the Alatau District Court this morning and will be charged later this week. 11 Vietnamese fishermen are already serving a 12-month sentence at Alatau's Gili Gili jail for non-payment for fines imposed for the same. Priscilla Waikaidi reports from Alatau.
The 16 men, among them a minor under the age of 16, appeared briefly before Magistrate John Kaumi at the Alatau District Court this morning. They were found illegally harvesting sea cucumbers last week. The court was told on June 21st their foreign fishing vessel was brought into the port of Alatau under arrest after police found them harvesting high-grade sea cucumbers off the coast of Warre Island in Milne Bay. They pleaded guilty to the charges. A further 6 other foreign fishing vessels unfortunately got away. On board the vessel apprehended, an undisclosed but large amount of beach timber were stashed in blue containers all over the boat, along with gas cylinders and diving compressors, food rations to last months, and 150 bags of salt were discovered on board. The men wept openly in court and via a translator told court they were worried for their families. Magistrate Kaumi had asked to board the vessel later today to see for himself what it held and the conditions the crew had to put up with to pass sentence later this week on Friday. They joined 11 other Vietnamese nationals already serving time, a one-year sentence at Alotau's Gili Gili jail for non-payment of fines totaling 280,000 kina under the Fisheries Management Act for the same. Priscilla Waikaidi, NBC National News, Alotau.
We now join Douglas with the weather preview.
Thank you, Antonia. Good evening, everybody. The weather in brief. Port Moresby and Alotau forecast is to have fine weather conditions. Some parts of the country will experience thundery showers, whilst others should have showers, then morning fog, a shower or two, and evening showers. It looks like showers all over. I've got all the weather details coming up later in the news. For now, though, it's back to you, Antonia.
Thank you, Douglas. Coming up next, International Organization for Migration says awareness on refugees results in gradual change in people's perceptions, and clinical services at the Yangao Memorial Hospital to be scaled down. Stay with us on NBC National News.